Ashley at the Brain Performance Center, and I get asked a lot about panic attacks. And the main question is, are they the same as an anxiety attack? And while they're very similar, they are not the same. A panic attack can be very intense, can be debilitating, and it comes out of nowhere. And usually there's no trigger for it. An anxiety attack is usually an outburst of anxiety. It's usually preceded with a little stress or worry, and sometimes you know what's triggered the attack. While most people will experience a panic attack once or twice in their life, 1 out of 75 people will live with a panic disorder. And that's when you live in fear of when that next attack is going to happen. And you're experiencing panic attacks at least once a month. The symptoms of panic attacks can start early. They can happen in teenagers or young adults. Usually a panic attack will last between 10 and 20 minutes, but some can last for a few minutes and some can last up to an hour. Everybody experiences them differently, and the symptoms are different. Some people, when they feel they're getting a panic attack, they'll feel their heart start to palpitate. Or they'll feel shortness of breath. They'll feel like they're choking. They may feel like they're dizzy. Their fingers and their toes may get numb. They may feel a change in their mental state, that they feel disassociated from themselves. They may feel fear of dying. The symptoms are different for everyone. But whatever the symptoms are, you feel like your life is falling apart, and there is nothing you can do to control that. The causes of panic disorder is partly known. I believe that the same things that creates dysregulation in the brain, whether it's anxiety or depression, is what causes a panic disorder. The first is genetics, and research does tie genetics to a panic disorder. Just like in my opinion, if your mom was depressed, you may have depression. The second is physical head injury, and I believe everybody has hit their head. So many people will say, I've never hit my head. I didn't have a concussion. Did you know only 1 out of 10 people that has a concussion will actually lose consciousness? Anytime you hit your head, you change the way those neurons and dendrites are wiring and firing. You change the way they're talking to each other, the coherence in the brain, how they communicate. The third thing is emotional trauma. And unfortunately, by the time we all get to be young adults, we've probably experienced some emotional trauma that can come from a change in your family, a divorce, a best friend moves away, a major transition, going away to college can be very stressful, and that's on an emotional level. And that emotional trauma lives in that subconscious. The only way to create regulation in the subconscious is to get the brain into a regulated state. And the fourth thing is stress. In 2020, there's 2 words I use to sum 2020 up: stressed out. And I don't think I'm alone with that. So there are things that you can do to treat a panic disorder. You know, there's medication, and at the Brain Performance Center, we tend to focus more on creating organic change in the brain. The medication focuses on the chemical synapses, and we focus on the electrical synapses in the brain. Did you know that neurofeedback is very effective for treating panic disorders? And did you know that neuromodulation, which is simply sending the brain what it needs, is the first step to calm that brain down? And that's where it starts. Once we calm that brain down, then we can train it to stay in a regulated state. There's an anxiety network in the brain, and there's several others that relate directly to anxiety. There are things that you can do to help manage the symptoms as well. First is sleep. Sleep is your foundation. It's what your body and your brain runs off of. Get enough of it. The second is exercise. Exercise releases endorphins. Endorphins make you feel good. Exercise on a regular basis. The third is nutrition. And with nutrition, we've talked about that. I'm going to leave you with this line. Think nutrition, think quality, not quantity. The main thing that happens when people start to feel anxious or panic coming on is they see a change in their breathing. They'll start taking short, choppy breaths. And the only way to get control of that is to get control of your autonomic nervous system. And you do that by using your breathing, by your breath. It's hard to breathe and to work on your breathing, but that is the only thing that will put that parasympathetic back into balance. Breathing is something that I've been working on for years and years. When I'm talking to you, I have to be taking 12 to 14 breaths a minute to spit it all out. My optimal breath rate is 4 breaths a minute. Everybody's optimal breath rate is between 4 and 7 breaths a minute. When you think about slowing that breath down, you just have to stop. Exhale. Then start to breathe in slowly and push the air all the way to your diaphragm, down around your belly button, and let it build up. The slower you breathe, the deeper you get your breath rate. You're getting your breath rate to dance with your heart rate. You're creating heart rate variability. And that is a sign of wellness. If you suffer from panic attacks, if you live wondering if you're going to have a panic attack when you wake up, give us a call. I'd love to help you get that under control using some good neurofeedback, neuromodulation, some cognitive behavioral therapy to give you coping strategies so that when you see one coming, you can stop it.